Can you guys see
All
my little?
right, we're on the air. Finally, after what, like 2 weeks? Yeah, I know. I had a makeup episode to tell everyone what's going on, so that just lets everybody know what's going on. But here we are again, episode 14 of the Ghost Train. Uh, this is a podcast for chasers, by chasers. Um, so we got some stuff to talk about, a couple of old topics that have been I've already kind of thrown off to the side, but we're gonna kind of touch on them because we should have done that, but whatever. All right, well, let's take a look at who we got going here. James Costino actually is with us again, and his camera actually works, and so far so good on his technology, and that's just,
Oh yeah. Well,
I don't
see, now that
know,
exams are over, I have no excuse not to be able to come in, right?
exactly, except for when your internet sucks, which is
Oh,
always.
yeah. Hey,
Well, right now it's working fine. You're fine right now, which is good.
I try.
Yeah, you better try. Dan Robinson joins us again. Dan, how's it going, man?
All right.
It was good to meet you out there in the field finally.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
Yeah, I actually drove by, and I was like, I know that car, because I remember seeing it the day before out there near Throckmorton, and so I turned around and flipped around. I was like, well, we ain't got nothing going on. I'll go say hi and see what's going on. So there you were. So who else we got here? We got Drue Bernardi, who I've promised to get him on the show like twice, and I kept forgetting about him, but now he's on. So Drew,
Well,
welcome to the show.
well, the first time I was bumped for Steve Miller, the owner of Storm Track, so I really couldn't argue with that one. But it's good to finally be on.
It was good to have you on. Hopefully we can get you on again down the road. And of course, well, let me make sure. Let me let everyone know. The Steve Millers, both of them, had to back out. So we went over and fished Shane out of a beer bottle, and now he's here with us today. So Shane, how's it
Sorry.
going?
Nah, it's good. Just living the dream, man.
Yeah, Shane was before the show, before we started. Shane was a little frustrated with his technology, so he may have random cutouts as well as random outbursts at inanimate objects. So just be prepared for that. So, all right, guys. So what do we got tonight? We have that controversy topic of chasers that get too close to storms and how it's ruining chasing and its image, as well as just putting out, some bad media attention or whatnot. Even though this all stemmed, I touched on this last week. This all stemmed because someone saw a spotter network icon really close to a radar couplet on radar, like that has any exact, whatever. What else do we have? We are. This is the kind of this year we're actually starting a little process, and actually Dan will talk about this quite a bit, where the media has been getting some footage of chasers, or trying to get footage of chasers driving badly and trying to really pound our image down as reckless drivers. But Dan is trying to put out the other side of the coin of, hey, we're not bad drivers at all. In fact, a lot of these guys really do follow the law and make sure they're not impeding traffic or any emergency vehicles. So we'll definitely touch on that, and Dan will kind of give us a little insight on why he's doing that and how he plans to do that. And then we're going to talk about last week's setup, which was May 8th and 9th, and how it failed miserably compared to the hype that it got. And then we're going to talk about this coming week's setup, which would be May, I think, 15th and 16th, I believe, yes. We're going to talk about if that can live up to its hype. And obviously we don't know yet, but we're going to definitely look into that. And well, let's get started. I want to start with this old topic because we've been kind of sitting on this, or this topic's been kind of sitting there for a while. It's actually gone quiet here lately. I haven't seen too much about it. But there was a topic, and I'll refresh everybody's memory. There was a topic in Storm Track about guys. I don't even remember who started it or whoever got into on it, but basically it was someone got really close to a couplet. I think it was, what night was that? I don't even remember what night that was. I think it was
April 26th.
April 26th. That's how long ago it was. Yeah, I forget. Yeah, that which was that monster storm out by Dublin, Texas, and Stephenville, blah blah blah. That was kind of a weird deal that someone would bring that up, and of course they compared this incident with El Reno because that's obviously a very comparable instance. but these were people that were at home, not really paying attention to, or not actually out chasing. They were just kind of paying attention to the radar. Um, so it was kind of a weird deal, and then it just dove into this big argument about chasers that are getting close, the new chasers that are getting close versus veteran chasers that are staying further away, and how this is ruining the image, and how this is ruining, this is putting out a bad, I guess, image for the new people, the newbies, the people that watch basically. Um, so I don't know, guys. This one kind of irks me because you know what? I've been close a few times this year, and I never really felt like I was in immediate danger. I think the one time was probably April 24th in Kansas, where I had a tornado touchdown 50 yards from me. That was a little surprise, but the tornado looked relatively weak. It didn't look very strong, so I sat around for a few seconds and then got out of there. But you know, we'll start with let's start with James. What do you think about this whole deal, James? Like, does this really affect storm chasing image? Like, does this really have anything to do with storm chasing as a hobby?
I mean, I think it does to a degree, but at the same time, just kind of putting it out there before anyone else does. Who honestly gives a shit? I mean, really, like it. When you think in the grand scheme of things, no one's doing this because they want to be liked. Why do you care? No one's going to pass legislation. You'll get harassed by cops every now and again. It's always going to happen. It doesn't matter if people like it or they don't like it. It's completely irrelevant to almost anything. It doesn't matter. Get over it. That's basically my entire position on all of this. Like it.
Yeah, I think you're not the only one that actually takes that approach. I think there's several people that kind of take that approach. Like, what does it matter? How does it really affect you at all? Dan, how about you? I'm sure you have quite a bit of insight on this and an opinion on it.
First, I'm not sure what people consider to be close. Are we talking about being in the debris right on the outside edge of the circulation, or are we talking about a quarter mile?
Well, I believe the controversy was, and I'll just say the name because I think everyone probably knows by now. Ben Holcomb's icon, Spotter Network icon, was really, really close to this really tight couplet on that storm, and it was probably like dark, I believe. But people were thinking, is this guy crazy? Look how close he is to this intense couplet. And I mean, Ben basically said in Storm Track, hey, I was there. I can see the base. I could see the wall cloud. It wasn't doing anything at the time. I wasn't in any immediate danger, and that's really all there was to it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're within a quarter of a mile of a tornado, like on Bennington, I was within a quarter mile of Bennington for quite a while, and I'm sure I never turned my Spotter Network icon, by the way, so you won't see me on there. But if I had my icon on, you probably criticize right there, but still, a quarter mile from a slow-moving tornado is not a big deal. I mean, it may look like it to an outsider, but for those of us who have been there, it's really not that.
Yeah, I mean, it really isn't a big deal, I guess, if you're not really, if it's a big, violent wedge, then, I understand you're looking at, maybe some flying debris that can hit you, and that is a little bit dangerously close. But, at the time, the storm wasn't even producing a tornado. It was just really close to the couplet. So, I don't know. I don't even know how that even, well, I guess all I can say is why would, I mean, if this happened this time, then that must mean that person that started that thread has been watching every single tornadic supercell, previously and looked for all the Spotter Network icons and just pointed at that person like, man, that guy's an idiot because he's that close. Man, that guy's an idiot because he's that close. I mean, that's pretty much what it sounds like this armchair chaser pretty much kind of did, but I don't know. I don't know about the minds of those kind of people. They're somewhere else, I guess, in terms of being at home versus being out in the field. So, but anything else you want to add to that, Dan?
No, I think that's pretty much obvious. I mean, I don't see any value in getting in the circulation. My goal as a chaser, I just want to get nice contrast. I like that y'all remember art class where you have the cylinder and you had to learn? There's a term for it where you have a cylinder and you have this side of it's light and then there's a gradient dark. I kind of like to have that view of a tornado, and you have to be kind of close to get that kind of a contrast. My goal isn't to be extreme and risk my life. I just want to get that nice crisp picture.
Right. And I think that's kind of the goal for everyone is to get that shot that makes the whole trip worth it, that makes everything worth it. Even risking hail damage, if you want to risk hail damage, you want to make sure that it's really worth it if you get that shot. Speaking of making that shot worth it, Shane actually has a really good story from actually just a year from yesterday, or not a year, 10 years from yesterday, if I'm all right, Shane, about
Oh yeah. I was considering what are you talking about?
completely obliterating your car for that shot.
The honest truth is, I've never dealt with an HP forward flank tornadic situation, and I had no clue the hail was coming until it was there. That's how I learned. Yeah, I mean, the reason, that day, I mean, we got great tornado video and got our windows smashed, and we, back before Storm Assist, like a decade ago, like the previous generation when we did Storms of, that charity series that lasted several years, we were featured heavily on that 2005 version of that video, but I didn't know. I mean, shit, my problem, I guess it's a problem for my health and people with me, but like if I see something that I think is about to be a tornado, my fears of lightning, hail, getting killed, all that stuff go away, and it's like I got to get this shot. That's my problem. I'm real safety conscious leading up to the storm and the chase and the preparation, but once the tornado is there in front of me, if it's in my viewfinder, I don't fucking care about anything because that's all I'm there for. And I can't really talk recently about people being close because I got right up in the notch on Sunday east of Hillsboro, and I was right there to the point to where when we finally bailed, we were running east about 70 miles an hour, and I had scud chunks in front of me going over my car into the circulation right behind me. And I'll touch on that more later as far as like muggles and their complete fucking lack of urgency regarding their own safety. But yeah, man, I just May 12th, 2005. I'd never been in a situation like that, and after it was over, we lost all our glass, and I had a choice to make. There's like a badass tornado. Positioned myself perfectly for it, got it. And then, of course, in that kind of storm, we're like a mile or two north of the tornado and an HP notch. So while the tornado was happening, we've got sporadic quarter to golf ball. And once that thing swung to the southeast and the RFD came around, it was on. Baseballs, boom, boom, boom. And I had a choice to make. I could go south and hit the RFD and get, baseballs moving in from the west at 70 miles an hour, or I could go east and try to pick my way through baseballs that were falling a little less velocity-wise, they were more straight down, and risk driving into the next tornado, which formed right over our road. So basically, we got cut off from our escape route by the next tornado that formed. The mesocyclone was over our road. The tornado formed about a mile south of our road, and we've got baseballs coming in from the southwest and west at about 70 miles an hour, taking out all our windows. And it was fucking awesome because I got great video. And the whole point with me is, if we hadn't seen a tornado when that happened, I'd still be bitching about it. But because we got the tornado first and then that happened, if I get a great tornado on video, I don't care what happens. I don't care if I end up on my roof. If I've got a great video and I've got that preserved, it was worth it. But Sunday, we got in the notch. I mean, we had no hail in an HP, and the wall cloud and rotation a mile to our east, to our west-northwest, coming right over us, waiting for the tornado, waiting for the tornado, waiting for the tornado, and it never happened. We had to bail, and I'm telling you, that the inflow tail that's coming, what it looks like when you're looking at a rotation, and you've got violent rotation, you've got a big feeder band coming in from the east, right into the fucking circulation. I was looking up through the windshield over my roof at shit going right over the top of our car. That was the inflow feeder. That's how long I waited to get the tornado before I bailed and didn't get it. That pisses me off. If I risk my life, I better goddamn well get a tornado. Fuck Mother Nature.
Very well put. Yeah, you know what? I'm in the same boat, man. If it means getting the good shot, or or even positioning myself to get in a good position to see it, like trying to get to the good position, then, kind of like all bets are out the window. As long as it, I guess for me, like with the hail, as long as it doesn't get to like baseball size, it's fine because you get anything depending on the storm because you can get tennis balls, you could even get like golf balls to crack the window. But for the most part, usually golf ball or tennis ball, they're big, they're gonna leave dents, but they'll usually keep your windows intact. So if I got to get out there to get the shot, and I had to drive through a hellcore to do it, then so be it. But I don't know. I don't really. I didn't understand that thread too much, and I do understand. I understand where people are coming from. What I don't get are some of the guys that came in there and said, "Look, this is the problem with storm chasing. These guys are getting too close. People are gonna get killed some more." And of course, we're all like, "Yeah, people are gonna die because there's just more chasers." I mean, it's just kind of, it's like mathematically gonna happen. But
You know what?
what's
My
that?
problem was I put value on human life because in my regular everyday life I value human life like above everything. But in the world, and chasing is no exception, you know, Tim and Paul and Carl get killed, and it made no difference. I mean, no one stopped. Everyone stopped the next day and went, because there was nothing to chase that next day. That was it. If there'd been another big chase, a big event that day, there wouldn't even been the pause for the or the it would have been right back to it. It made no difference, and that's why what I told you before the show started. That's why I quit things I'm doing and why I just don't talk about it anymore. Now, if you're gonna have me on your show and ask me about my opinions, I'll gladly come on and share them. But I'm not gonna on my own anymore ever. Just put my shit out there publicly because number one, everyone knows what I think, and number two, no one gives a shit. Number three, I just don't care to make the effort. It's like no one cares that chasers die. I mean, that's accepted. I mean, there are chasers out there. I think some of you guys on the night are probably in that group. You guys, there's a part of you, and I'm not one of these guys, but you guys might be. There's a part of you that accepts every fucking time you pull that seatbelt over, start that engine, and drive out to chase. I might die today, and you're okay with that. I'm not okay with that. And you know what? But I understand that people are, because that's just the way. No one gives a shit about the sanctity of human life anymore. No one cares. Be it complacency, denial, or just suicidal. I don't really give a shit. It's not important to me. I don't care anymore because if El Reno didn't hamburger helper slap the bitch out of everyone the way I used to, I would always talk about what might happen and then slap the shit out of people, metaphorically, and that never worked. If people dying didn't work, actually, hey, guess what? Tim's never going to be out there again. You're never going to
Oh, analogy.
Oh, just about to get good.
see Carl and Tim says is ever going to do it. So that was my hamburger helper glove slap today. I was thinking about that today, going, you know what? If them dying didn't make a difference, nothing I say is going to make a difference. And if I'm not making a difference, I'm not the kind of person that needs to be on TV or the internet just to fucking hear myself talk. I don't give a shit. The message is not being received. I get it. You win, I lose. I don't fucking care. Base hunters, fucking whoever else's icon ends up in the circulation. I don't care. I'm not going to bitch. Die. I mean, I don't give a shit. Film your death. I don't fucking care. I mean, I hope you do, and I hope the people that do survive, I hope, like, if Peak and fucking Ross die and fucking Pato survives but has like a leg off, at least he gets all the money for it. I mean, at least somebody wins. So fuck it, do it. I don't give a shit.
Very well put. Oh, I love this show. I love this show. All right. Well, as Shane gets beard up, Drew, how about your opinion on this whole deal? What do you think?
Well, my opinion on it, when I first read the thread, it was right after all that happened, and of course we spent half the night listening to I believe it was the Johnson County, Texas Aries thing, and you hear, I felt bad for the one dude. He'd been calm all night, and he comes on there shakily reporting a half mile to a mile wide wedge tornado. So everybody's assuming that's what's on the ground. And, the more I thought about it, I was like, look, it's not that it's an issue with chasing. It's just a differing of chase styles. My chase style is, as much as I try not to get close, I grew up chasing in Kentucky, so close is what we do. You don't try to get close here, you just have to get any kind of shot. At night, chasing around here is a suicide mission. Because of hills, trees, and towns, chasing during the day is hard enough. Chasing at night is impossible. But I chased a little bit at night when I was chasing Illinois, and I think it's especially a lot different in the alley. So I think it's to me it's a difference of opinion of how you should chase. If you feel comfortable chasing at night and you feel comfortable getting close, that's fine. That's what you do. One thing I'll say that Shane said a long time ago is if you're going to get that close, own up to it that that's what you're doing. Don't act like you accidentally got that close. I know Base Hunters is famous for that. Don't act like you didn't mean to be there because you are there every time. Just own up to it, and if you want to get close, but understand that you may get hurt, and I think a lot of people that get that close know that they may get hurt, or killed in the end of it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just you got to accept what you're doing is very reckless. It's very dangerous, and you just have to accept that you're doing that, and you got to make sure you don't try to backtrack because I think now, at least this year, at least I noticed, people are really smelling the bullshit when people say, "Oh, well, I didn't mean to be there." Although, let me tell you, April 24th, when I had that one touchdown right next to me, I actually didn't even expect that to happen. And that's kind of a scary thought in my head because we were actually watching a tornado about a mile to our southwest. I wasn't even looking straight up, and sure enough, that thing touched down right next to us. So, um, stuff like that happens when you have those like random spin ups next to you. That I can understand being accidental, but if you want to get really close to one that's already in progress and is very large or just very high contrast, like it's there, then there's a difference there, and you got to know because that that's what's there. You know that it's going to be really, really dangerous to get close to that. So,
Well, I think a lot of people they think if I just say I accidentally got close, then everything will be all right. What they don't realize is we can tell by the sound of your voice on there that you meant to get close. If you're watching one of my videos and I've gotten too close and I didn't mean to do it, I'm not going to sound like, okay, there's the tornado. I'm going to be going, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. I'm not supposed to be this close. Holy crap, gotta get out of here. I'm gonna sound like Reed Timmer on Manchester. Back up, back up, back the fuck up.
yeah, I mean, you can kind of hear it in my voice. There's a point on my video of that day where my voice kind of does this little tremble, like I was like freaking out, and that's when I realized, oh, we're really close, and we need to try to get out of here. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, if someone's really calm and collective, aka, you know, amateur Rochelle, Illinois guy that got really close and didn't say a damn thing, um, there's he may have froze up, and I know we talked about this. He may have froze up with fear, but you don't pull out a camera when you're frozen in fear. So, um, you know, there's a lot of sides to that. I don't know I don't know if anyone else agrees that this is actually hurting the image of storm chasing, or if this is just putting bad examples out for the people just starting. Maybe the latter is true, where the newbies are going to think that this is the norm, that you got to get within X amount of distance from this thing to actually have a shot at whatever you're trying to do, whether it be selling the footage or not, which in most cases, selling the footage, closer the footage, the more dramatic the footage looks, the better chance you have at actually selling it. So, some of these guys that are coming into the hobby thinking, well, hey, I can storm chase, I can chase tornadoes, and I can make money doing this, then of course they're going to try to get close. But those are the guys that are going to get bit in the ass by their inexperience. They're going to be the first ones to really get hamburger helper bitch slapped right across the face. So.
Greatest thing that's ever come up with on this show, the hamburger helper.
I didn't start it. That was Shane's deal for a long time.
That's an old throwback from like 2009 on the early Debris Show days.
Yeah. Didn't you have an actual hamburger helper prop, or am I imagining that?
No, they have them, but I've priced them on eBay, and I've just been too lazy and cheap to buy one. And now, I'm just kind of getting out of it. So it's like, yeah, but they're out there. They're out there if you want one.
I need to get one and mount it up on the wall back there or something. So.
With the new
All right. So does anyone else
Shane's gonna get one and actually start slapping young chasers and people who piss him off. He's gonna load it with rocks or something and just.
Ooh.
He's gonna run down the road at 70 miles an hour, smacking muggles with it.
As he's driving by.
But now I just fucking let them be there. Let them be what they are. I don't care. You know what I care about? Seeing tornadoes. Fuck everything else.
All right. So does anyone else? Do they take the road of this is affecting storm chasing its image at least?
No one fucking cares, man. James nailed it. No one gives a shit about any of us. I mean, literally, we're invisible to the world. No one fucking cares. And I got a great story that is a great example of that later on. So
Okay. Well, so, yeah. I mean, that's kind of the point I was trying to make. I tried to make in the thread. I don't know if it came across, but it's just like as long as it's not affecting you personally, you shouldn't give a crap about what anyone else is doing. Whether or not they want to get super close, that's their deal. If they want to stay, 5 miles away, that's their deal. I had a bad habit there when I first started, and I guess this is that whole kind of newbie dominance thing where people that were really far back, like you pass them and they're sitting back there, and you're just like, you got to get closer to see anything. But you know what? That's probably their style, and I shouldn't have really kind of came down on them like that. So okay, so everyone believes that this doesn't really matter as far as I could tell, and everyone believes that um, you know this does probably put a bad image out for the newbies, or at least hopefully, uh, you know, I guess I should say it doesn't put a bad image out for them, but it does give them an impression that this is one of the ways to do it and one of the more popular ways to do it. So
Well, I would say this. Even though chasing is a lot easier now with radar and follow people to water network, it still takes some skill to get close to a tornado. That's not an easy thing to do. So, I can't do it all the time myself. I'm not at that level where I can be under the message every time. So, there is a little bit of a mitigating factor there. You got to know your stuff to be there in the first place. Probably 80% of the time.
yeah, it's not everyone that can actually get themselves in that position. I mean, that takes skill in its own.
A lot of people who are chasing HPs, they don't you have to be into the notch to see the tornado. You see them all to the south of the storm taking pictures of shelf cloud. So, I mean,
Yep.
I think there's a little bit of a balance there.
Yeah, I think was it April 16th that Killerville tornado, the one I saw. It was really weird because I was surprised that I was the only one on the road, either side of me. I was like, where is everybody? I mean, the tornado's coming right here, and I guess everyone was further east, further south. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, some of those HPs, if you have the balls to do it and you have the knowledge to kind of read what the storm's doing as opposed to what is on radar, then the HPs you can get close enough to where you might be able to see something, but
that's
it's just the fact that you have no visibility, just your stress rate goes way up. I mean, the whole situation becomes elevated in stress because you just don't know sometimes. You don't know if there's a satellite coming around. You just there's a lot of unpredictability there. So
that Sunday storm that we tracked from Meridian all the way, Hillsborough, Whitney, Corsicana, Brandon, all that shit. I mean, I would look at the radar every once in a while just to kind of get our distance from the storm and its movement. And what I was seeing and what the radar showed, it's like night and day. It's not even the same. It's just and I don't have one of those fancy schmancy apps with the tracker and the warnings. I get blobs. I have blobs. There's no tracker. There's no time. There's no warning. I don't know what it's doing. I just know where it is. It's hit. And, I mean, HPs, they're shitty. They suck. I mean, there's two things you can do, and I'm a very conservative chaser. I want the shot without the risk because to me, risk is stupid. But if I can get a guaranteed payoff, I'll take a little bit of risk. But on an HP situation, a guy like me, it's like I can either stay back here and look into something I can't see and read about everyone else who saw it later, who lost windshields or nearly got killed or whatever, or I can work my way and try to get something. Like I said earlier, I'm so pissed off because I was hyper aggressive on Sunday trying to get into that fucking notch. I mean, like I said, we've got the rotation due west of us, and we've got no hail in an HP, which means you are right there. You are right on the fucking borderline. And we waited, and we waited, and we waited. And after we finally had to run because I was looking up to see the east side of the circulation that was about a half a mile northwest of us, while we were going east and repositioning and giving this motherfucker some room, TVN gets the big wedge that lasts about 3 minutes southwest of our position when we're running away because we nearly got chomped by the forward flank circulation. And this is one of those situations where I hate HP storms, not because they're not beautiful, but because they force you to actually work. I think chasing should be a lazy man's game. There should be a goddamn storm. You should drive to where it is. You should stop your car. I want a tornado on video on a tripod outside for 20 minutes, and I don't want one drop of rain on me. That's the way I want the goddamn chase to go. Okay, sometimes I got to shoot with, I got a handheld because I'm in a car and it's raining. I can't be outside. Or I got to go out my window because it's in front of me and it's raining or whatever. That's fine. But when I take those risks and I don't get the payoff, that's super frustrating. And a lot of guys take those risks automatically, expecting a payoff, and they nearly die, and they don't get the tornado half the time, which is the point. I mean, it's just like, you're throwing yourself to the wolves because you think if I take the chance and get in the notch, I'm going to get the tornado. You know what? I was in the notch for 15 fucking minutes with no hail and watched a rotating wall cloud, and I was looking for dust swirls for 5-10 minutes and nothing happened. You don't get the tornado just because you throw up in the notch. So, it's one of those situations where do you care more about being cavalier and not giving a shit and just going out there because it's there, or do you actually have a plan or strategy? Because the tornado, the storm looks like it's ready to do a tornado, because we were all over that storm for 3 hours, and we missed 2 reported tornadoes. One because we couldn't see because of hills and trees, and the other one because we were fucking running away because we were, like I said, the inflow tail was on top of our car going over our heads behind us. So, whatever, fuck it.
I don't think there's anyone that's actually a fan of chasing HPs. I haven't heard of anyone. I know everyone bitches and moans about it, and I think that's just part of the game, though. I think, I think when you first start chasing, you kind of believe that you don't have to worry about HPs too much, or if you do, they're not too bad, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I think that people don't realize sometimes that HPs are probably a majority of the chases, depending on where you're at, actually, because, it's kind of rare to see HPs in the higher terrains versus further east. But for the most part, if you don't have, enough ventilation winds, or if everything's not,
Out of phase is the problem.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different ways.
It doesn't matter when you're chasing north for whatever fucking reason. Northwest Kansas and southeast Colorado, there could be like -5 knots at anvil level, and there'll be wedges with a 40-knot low-level jet. I don't get that. Wednesday, May 6th, I don't get how that shit happened. I still don't understand that. I'm looking at veer back flow all the way up. The photographs look like an Etch-a-Sketch. They look like shit. And there's fucking wedges till fucking 2 hours after dark, and everyone's singing and dancing and sharing their photos. You know what the highlight of my Saturday was? Missed Cisco by an hour because we left too late. Stayed on that fucking storm for 3.5 fucking hours. We finally get a shot north of Stevensville where we can actually see the goddamn storm through all the fucking hills and wilderness out there. I got a nice rotating wall cloud, fucking scuds screaming in, barrels fucking just sitting there spinning almost ground level, and didn't get a tornado. But while that's happening, this asshole walks up to me and shows me a Cisco fucking shot. Look what I got earlier. I don't fucking care what you got earlier. Throat punch, kick down, bury him in the fucking ditch, move on. Don't do that to me. Don't ever walk up to a chaser who hasn't seen shit on that day and show him your fucking bullshit from the other day. Now, honestly, I know the guy was probably excited. It's the best tornado I ever got in my life. I'm happy for you any time that's not now. Right now, I swear to God, if there weren't people who were able to witness it, I would fucking murder you. Don't do that shit to me. I don't fucking care how happy you are.
All right, I'll make sure not to show Shane my pictures then.
Sorry, I mean, just angry. It's like literally, it's like me, Bridget, and like 2 grandmas in Throckmorton County who slept through the last one haven't seen a fucking tornado this year. That's it. Everyone else has seen like 80. So fuck everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I get how that's frustrating, man. I don't like it. Like it actually pains me sometimes when I see people scoring tornadoes, and I could have been there, but I was just kind of like biding my time. I didn't have enough confidence to make that trip, but
we've been there every fucking time. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We got rotating wall clouds for 15 minutes. Fucking Bowie, Texas. We're on that fucking early cell that went through fucking. It went through Vernon, Texas, right down 287. We were on that thing all fucking day. No tornadoes. Didn't get any of them. Left that cell and just went out ahead of it and decided to look for new development down 287, which we did. We decided to leave the Vernon cell, drove down 287, stopped in Wichita Falls, gassed up, drove down toward Bowie looking for those two new cells popping up. One of them went up and went tornado. We drove right through the flank, northwest to southeast, right through the early precipitation, missed all the hail, got there just in time. Big fat rotating wall cloud, huge scud, fucking alligator inflow tail, just rapping, cone funnel halfway down for about a minute, goes back up into a bowl, nothing happens, rain wrap, fucking hail comes around, obscures our view, we bust it southeast because we have no option. Base hunters, 5 minutes later on the northwest side of it, get a fucking tornado in the fucking core. Aggravating. Saturday, looking at a fucking wall cloud, same situation. 2 minutes before we got our stop and got our setup shot, we missed the tornado. And then Sunday, in the notch, risking our lives, fucking asshole homeowner, more concerned about the fact I'm in his driveway than the fact his house is about to get blown away. 15 fucking minutes, man, barrel, looking up at the rotation. Drive away, put our backs to it after 15 minutes, 5 minutes later, 5-minute wedge that we don't see. That's fucking awesome. That's why I hate this shit, man. We're there every fucking event. We've been in danger every chase because we're that fucking close, but it doesn't happen when we need it to happen, and it pisses me off. And the assholes that score, we're not here to see tornadoes. We're here to make money because we got tour guests. It's all about money and tours and pumping the brand. You guys don't appreciate anything you see. You fucking expect it. And you know what? Those are the kind of people that need a fucking drought. Because two things are going to happen. You're either going to start appreciating what you used to see, or you're going to just move on to the next business venture, which is my guess, because it's not about the fucking storms, it's about the goddamn money. Oh, I'm sorry, I just turned this into a Dead Chaser Society show, I'm sorry.
You're fine. Hey, all I could say is, from everything you've said, Shane, the one thing I got out of it is you just need to wait 5 more minutes before bailing on that storm.
No, I couldn't wait. We were going to be debris. Basically, I mean, I watched the circulation move right up over my fucking head, and I told her, I said, we got to go. We have to go. We're either going to be in the tornado, or we're going to leave now. Those were our options. We left. There wasn't a tornado, but it was 5 minutes behind us. If we'd stayed there, we would be dead now. That's my luck. I'm either twist X or I miss it. I don't have that in-between shit that all you other fuckers get.
Well then, I'm sorry that happened to you, Shane, because that really sucked. Because I understand the feeling.
Oh, it doesn't matter. It's not about. I don't lack confidence at all. I'll fucking put my fucking resume. I'll lay my dick on a table next to anybody's. The problem is, most of this shit. I don't care if it's Roger Hill, or me, or the guy that just started chasing this year. It's fucking 95% luck. The only part of this that's skill, and everyone listen because this is gospel. The only part of chasing that's skill is driving to a spot to where you have a chance to put yourself in a situation to be lucky. That's it. There's no. I mean, and here's where it gets all fucked up. The people that have no other responsibilities but to just take the chance and drive themselves to where they may be lucky, that gives the impression of good and skillful and awesome because you have an opportunity. I mean, does opportunity equal skill? I don't think so. I think your track record over time equals skill. I think it's a percentage. I saw 40 tornadoes last year on 40 chases. Cool, and you chased 150 times. Not impressed. Hey, I chased 10 times and saw 20 tornadoes on 7 days. That's pretty goddamn impressive. That's just the way I look at it.
Very true. Very true. All right, so...
You regretting asking me on yet?
No, I'm glad you're on. All right, so basically what we're saying, screw what anyone else thinks. Yeah, let's go back to the original question at hand. Yeah, let's say, screw what anyone else thinks. Chase how you want to chase. Don't worry about what anyone else is talking about because it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all to any part of this hobby or passion or business, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter at all. So we'll put it at that. We'll leave it to rest. We'll let all the wolves and Storm Track hound us the next time this happens, and pretty much just don't give a shit. All right, let's move on because we have a couple more topics. So we'll go ahead and go to this topic of Dan has kind of started this thread of Storm Track. Dan, I'll let you kind of explain it, I guess, But basically, what I understand is, and this was all stemming from the whole Barber County, Kansas incident back on April 8th, I believe, where they were, and we had the episode about this a while back. And they were bitching and moaning about chasers being in the road, not parking all the way off the road. They went on with the, was it KAKE in Wichita picked it up? Is it KAKE? I think so.
Yeah, and the fucking Wichita Eagle just their whole career for the last 7 years is kicking chasers in the balls between April and fucking June. Hard gig. Ooh.
Yeah, I know. Pretty much that's all they've been doing for the last few years. But they came on and kind of put the blame on chasers that they're making this dangerous for the law enforcement, and it was a big deal. And then it turns out that actual dash cam footage from that day showed that there really wasn't any chasers at all that were parked on the road, that were illegally parked, that were speeding, that were breaking the law. If anything, there was actual pictures of fire department vehicles, volunteer fire department that were parked partially on the roadway with the doors wide open, or just a cop just yelling at random chasers that were completely off the road. It was just incidents like that, and I think we kind of came to the conclusion that Kansas just for some reason, and I think it's been going on for a while, but the one incident where this really really took off was April 14, 2012, when there were homes that were hit by actual powerful tornadoes, and there were chasers that were stuck in the mud on the roads that went to those homes, so these emergency workers could not get to the homes to rescue. And that was probably kind of the climax of this whole, controversy with that, with the law enforcement versus chasers, and mostly just Kansas. There really hasn't been any other state that has really done that. And then also that year, May 25th, 2012, there was an incident where north of La Crosse, I believe it was, there was a highway patrol unit that had gone out and parked his vehicle to block the road off from this tornado that was passing about 2 miles ahead, and he had several vehicles just go around him because they knew that they weren't in any danger. These were chasers that kind of knew what they were doing, and he went off the handle and got really pissed off, and that was that whole incident. And ever since then, it's been like every year there's been something against chasers in Kansas. Kansas has really been, like Shane said, just kicking us in the balls, and for no reason. It's more of just puffing their chest out and kind of trying to be Billy Badass out here on Chase Day to make them feel important. I guess I don't know. But anyway, the whole deal that Dan is doing, or what he has requested, is that chasers run their dash cam footage at all times when they're chasing, to show that not everybody is breaking the law. Now, every now and then you might get someone that doesn't pull over all the way off the road, or does an illegal pass in the no passing zone or something. For me, that's actually expected, just because there's so many chasers out there, and there's so many people that are really hungry to get in that one spot 1 mile up the road that doesn't matter because I'm just going to pass that spot here in about 2 minutes anyway. And there's those incidents every now and then. But for the most part, I would say 98% of the time, maybe everyone's for the most part is following the law, staying within the speed limit, not passing when they're not supposed to. And that's kind of what Dan is kind of called out for everyone to do, is to get that kind of footage so we can have that archive of, hey, you want to bash us on this one little incident? Well, let me show you all these other times where that wasn't even a problem. So, Dan, if you want to go ahead and talk about that real quick.
You covered it pretty well. The media loves controversy. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but just about everything you see on TV isn't really because of it important or it has relevance in our daily lives. It's just people. They want controversy. They want to get people agitated and watching. And that's a lot of what you see on TV. That's what this is. The problem is they don't care if they turn people against chasers, without cause. Whether we deserve it or not, it's just all for the controversy. And so, unfortunately, the only option we have to fight back against the trend is just to show our video, say, hey, here it is. You know, put it out there for better or worse. You know, and I think the way to go is we have to record the whole chase. You can't take bits and pieces and put them out there because people can take. You know, if you take, if I go to Wichita and drive around all day, I could probably get 5 or 6 clips a day of Wichita drivers doing stupid things. And at the end of the week, I can put all those together into a piece and say, hey, look how that Wichita driver. You know? And the media will do the same thing to chasers. If we take a couple of clips here and there of bad drivers, and the media is just going to jump all over that and use it against us. And the only thing we can really do is just record the whole thing, lay it all out there for everybody to see. And I mean, the videos are going to be boring. I mean, no one's going to watch them all, but at least they're there, and you can say, hey, watch this video and see where you see it from. You can't really argue.
Yeah, they wouldn't have an argument then. But yeah, I get it. So we're just trying. What you want to do is have chasers kind of show that, especially if another incident like Barber County happens again, where you have cops that are going out there, attempting to arrest people or giving people tickets for something they didn't do. They at least, someone could have that evidence to say, look, no, that's actually not true. And whether or not the media publishes that, that's kind of a question of whether or not they care about their ratings, because I think that's all that matters for them. So, I don't know. Real quick, I guess Drew, what do you think? What do you think about not only just the Barber County incident, but the whole state of Kansas kind of kicking us in the balls all the time? And do you think that Dan's idea is something that would actually help?
I definitely think that Dan's idea is something that could help. I mean, as much as they don't broadcast them, a lot of media stations do watch the chasers, especially the ones that stream online. And, if you sit there and watch long enough, you're going to see a couple of chasers make some questionable moves or some against-the-law moves. But for the most part, everybody's driving because they want to get to the storm in one piece. They don't want to be wrecking into vehicles and stuff like that, and they don't want to get pulled over on the way to the storm that could, make them some money. But, I think Kansas is just... I've always said Kansas is so backwards to the rest of the country, and this is just another thing. You've got sheriffs on the western side of Kansas that are pulling over every car coming out of Colorado, and now they're jumping on the backs of chasers who are out there. Of course we're out there to get our shots, but we're also the ones that are calling in reports of, hey, tornado here, heading here, and it's just, and not only that, they're driving money out of the state. They're driving because chasers, we eat in Kansas, we get motel rooms, we do all this stuff. And they're driving money out of there into other states because, well, one chaser one time was halfway in the road while I was trying to get somewhere. Not really important because I wasn't running my sirens or my lights, but I was just trying to get somewhere, and, they were halfway in the road, so we want all of them out of here. It's just, I don't even know what to say to Kansas anymore. I think we're still going to chase there, even if the cops, even if they turn up their harassment to 11, we'll just take all our stickers and our stuff down, and we'll hide really well.
Yeah, I know. I kind of touched on this. Go ahead, Dan.
I don't think that. I mean, just like the Wichita media takes a few bad examples and paints all chasers as bad. I mean, the same thing goes for the police officers. I'm sure that 99% of the police officers in Kansas are just fine. I haven't had a problem with them. You have a couple bad experiences here and there that kind of get used to broad brush everybody. I definitely don't want to, go the route of saying that Kansas, law enforcement in Kansas are all anti. I don't want to put a fuss against them because I see Kansas like most people see the Grand Canyon or. Kansas should value chasers, not just for reports, but whole lot of stuff in their state to attract people. And they make what is almost equal to the Grand Canyon. They've got just this natural wonder that happens every spring that attracts people from all over the world. And I think they ought to consider that that's a good thing for the state and not that.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Kansas doesn't have much going for it at all. Chasing is probably one of their more profitable, I guess you could say, you know, ways of tourism. You know, you get those setups in central Kansas, and every little town between, you know, Hayes and Dodge City or whatever, you know, or basically from border to border, you know, every little town has an opportunity to make a lot of money because you get chasers that come in to fuel up, you get chasers that come in to buy food, sometimes little things here and there, you know, someone forgot something at the Walmart, go run by Walmart and get something.
I love going to Kansas. Being there, I thought about moving to Kansas. I love it.
I mean, it's a great state to chase in. I actually agree. I mean, the state of Kansas is really, really beautiful, very well graded for roads, very great for chasing. But, you know, and it's funny because I think every other aspect of Kansas doesn't care about chasers, or, well, they don't care about chasers, but they'd rather have chasers there. But the only people that really have a problem is law enforcement. And, you know, of course, you get law enforcement that have an issue with it. They're easily going to be able to bring this to the news and to media, and in the media, it starts going out to all the people in that area. And there's going to be some people that are going to think, you know, yeah, you know, let's screw chasers. You know, they're bad for us. And then, but there's probably going to be more people that are just like, well, who cares? Like,
the media is most people don't care. Most people are probably neutral about it, but when they read the news stories, that might put them against us where they otherwise may have an opinion.
Well, good. Well, hopefully, just this doesn't become an issue anymore. I mean, it is an issue. Probably going to flare up again every now and then, but you know, obviously the whole controversy about chasing going through some legislature is probably just a bunch of horse shit. It's probably not going to happen. But you know, hopefully it doesn't even get to that point where that has to be even considered. So, here's the thing. Kansas, just take a damn chill pill. Why don't you go take some advice from Colorado and legalize weed? Maybe y'all all chill out.
Kansas, you can't tell me that
anyway,
the national.
All right, so that's very good, Dan. I hope that's very successful. I hope you get some more people to jump on board with that because I think it is important. I know some people probably are like, well, why does this matter? Blah blah blah. But it is important that we at least have that evidence. At least we have that footage to show in case something happens, in case there's another Barber County incident or any other incident that might involve, you know, law enforcement overstepping their boundaries, you know, and just trying to be all, you know, high and mighty. So, okay, so we're about an hour into the show. Let's we got two more things to talk about. I was trying to keep the show about an hour and a half, so let's jump into what we had happen. Okay, so last weekend, probably one of the first really true big troughs came in over the Central Plains, Southern Plains and Central Plains, and gave us the best opportunity we've had all year for what could have possibly have been a pretty stout outbreak, at least in the Southern Plains. Friday was a moderate risk, especially down in Texas, but as James, if he ever wakes up over there, will discuss, you know, the day didn't go as according to what the expectations were. And these expectations, of course, were, you know, several tornadoes in the area. But instead, we just had, I think, a couple of tornado reports, nothing really major, nothing substantial. There was a couple of tornadoes down in Throckmorton, which I believe Dan actually got. You know, there was specifically one or two storms that did anything, and you know, a lot of people kind of wondered why that happened, as well as Saturday. Saturday was the same deal. Saturday looked like the big day. Saturday looked like we were going to be doing Wedge Fest go 3 days before Saturday looking at the models, and it looked really, really good. And then as we got closer and closer, it just all kind of came back down. And then what really killed out Saturday was the massive precip that formed right in the target area. Which Saturday, the main target I think a lot of people were aiming for was southwest Kansas over to the Panhandles and the western Oklahoma down into northwest Texas. That was where SPC issued a day 3 moderate risk. And that looked substantial for the longest time until the morning of. Big precip shield, which I think a couple of models picked up on, a couple of them didn't. But that just killed the entire day. So Saturday, what you had was, you went from a day that had major potential to a day where the only actual tornadoes were on the outer fringes of that trough, namely down in central Texas and then also eastern Colorado and northwest Kansas. So, James, are you there? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm there. What?
Are you jacking off?
Yes, really I am.
I don't have video of you. I just see a black screen.
Should be fine. My camera's on.
Now it's just a picture of your doofy smile in front of a half-assed scud cloud.
Is it? How about now?
Nope.
Well, whatever. All right, I'll screen share.
Oh, you're ruining my show. Anyway.
I try. All right. Anywho.
All right. Well, let's talk about Friday, because Friday was kind of the day before the day. This looked like a pretty decent day for chasing. I think everyone kind of had the same idea of targets. But let's go ahead and dive into that real quick. And nothing really in depth, but let's just kind of talk about how those days ended up and why they didn't actually end up being the big substantial outbreaks that we were kind of thinking it might have been.
Yeah, I mean, here's Friday, kind of little circular moderate down there in southwest Oklahoma, big kind of trough coming on shore.
Your screen share is not working. I still see a black screen.
What in the hell? I have no idea what's going on then. It's showing up fine for me.
I see your picture, and that's it. Drew, are you seeing nothing also?
I'm seeing a picture of him in front of the Calvin cloud.
There you go.
How about now?
You ruined it. No, it doesn't work, James.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. My webcam says it's on and everything's showing up fine for me.
He broke it.
I didn't do shit. I swear.
You see? We come back from a hiatus, from a 2-week hiatus, and James has to ruin it, of course.
God damn it.
Hey, at least he's got audio.
Yeah, so at least you can hear me.
I can hear you. That's fine. I understand. Yeah. Now I can't see nothing. Well, do you think you can go out and come back in? Maybe that'll work?
Yeah, I'll try it.
All right, well, I'll try to keep spitballing here. Well, I guess while he's out, we'll talk about how our days went. Dan, how about you go ahead? Friday, you scored a tornado. Congratulations.
Yeah,
and then,
really.
Yeah, by accident. Yeah, actually, Dan has a pretty sad story about what happened, but.
Yeah, well.
It's not sad if it ends with a tornado.
If anybody else was there at Weiner, Texas, there was one road that goes east out of there, and then it curves back down to the south and rejoins Highway 80. But as soon as you turn off of the main highway onto that little road, there's a sign that says "Road Closed." And I saw that, and I'm like, okay, great. So I'm looking at the map, and there's a little creek. And usually when a road's closed in the plains, it's at a creek or a river or something. And so I just assumed, okay, the road's closed up here at the creek. I'm going to have to take the next south road, but that means I'm going to lose my position. So that's what I ended up doing. And for some strange reason, the storm, I don't know if I've ever seen an HP do this, but it cleared out. There was a corridor of clearing that arced back from the mezzo back to the southwest, right on Highway 380. I just happened to be right there of the base and the wall cloud. Yeah. I had visibility of it for maybe 5 minutes, and during that 5 minutes it produced and then filled in with rain. I couldn't see it anymore.
That's the opposite of my whole weekend.
Well, at least you got a look of it, because I mean, not a lot of people, including myself, didn't even get to see it because I was actually east of the storm, just east of Throckmorton, looking back to the west. All I saw was just haze, some half-assed structure, an inflow cloud, and that was it. I mean, the structure was great, but I mean, you just couldn't see anything.
Structure.
So, but tell them about your camera.
Oh yeah. On that road, I set my camera on top of my roof, drove off, and it's now in a ditch somewhere, underwater, still underwater.
Probably is because they've still been getting a lot of rain. So if anyone's in the Wynard area and you see a DSLR with the lens on it, it's probably Dan's.
If you know how to fix cameras, there's a free one out there somewhere.
Yeah, just been a little submerged.
Why?
All right, James, we got you back, which is good.
All right. Say, hear me all right?
Yeah. So go ahead and dive into Friday because, like I said, not everyone got to chase or whatever. But go ahead.
Yeah, so like I was saying, kind of tiny, moderate risk down here in southwest Oklahoma, pretty decently sized enhanced. Big trough coming on shore in Southern California at 12Z, and kind of slowly edging in into the Four Corners region, just a little bit past 0Z, I think. Decent, amazing moisture. I mean, all that rain we've had out here in this, this past month and a half or so really kind of made sure moisture didn't drop too far. But the killer this day was honestly just action just murdered it. I mean, you can see that giant blob of precip right there. I mean, that's 18Z. That's not good. It just kind of slowly listed off to the northeast, right through that moderate risk area, and then the SPC I think switched around the moderate a bit, kind of it down here. Those day ended up going along this little outflow boundary, and there's that Throckmorton storm, and that was basically the show for the day. And the other thing to kind of notice too is if you go to DFW's 12Z, very slight cap at 12Z, decently high cape, but I mean the winds. I mean this is kind of to be expected this early in the day with the trough that far west that the winds are hot garbage. But I mean even stepping forward, going to Dallas at 0Z, I mean winds aren't particularly amazing. I mean you have somewhat decent curvature in the lowest levels, but nothing that'll blow you away and scream tornadoes further west. And just looking back at Midland, I mean the EML was there. It was just it kind of got rained on further north and east, and kind of made it a little harder to get discrete, or semi-discrete supercells up in that target area. And just kind of to note here, if you go to air maps, kind of stuff weakness that kind of appears at 0Z as that trough ejects, or part of that trough ejects out. And this interaction right here with the subtropical jet didn't help things either. Kind of split the flow a little bit. I mean, you had decently strong flow. Your ventilation winds were decently strong, and then just further down here, I mean, extraordinarily weak in Norman, which would lead me to believe that it kind of messed with storm mode a bit down here in southwest Oklahoma.
Basically, it sounds like the early precip really killed. I mean, it was obviously the killer of the whole day. Because obviously, if that wasn't there, then you have a really good day. But okay, so these are observed soundings at 18Z. I guess some special balloon launches.
Yeah, this is Dallas.
Yeah, I mean the shear looks good in terms of how directional it looks, for the most part. But yeah, I guess further upstream, we just had a big kick in the nuts to the lapse rates, and because the lapse rates look. I'm trying to. I mean, that's not too bad, but
It's not that bad in Midland, but it didn't really kind of pan out further north you went, away from that very southernmost storm.
Yeah, but
kind of
I mean,
crap.
that's and the thing about it is that storm. I was actually on that storm from birth. I was down to Rawls when it first started, and I kind of got behind on the precip because it was really flooded, and I mean really flooded. There was Highway 40 south of Rawls, which is the way I was going east. I mean, it was submerged in the water so much on so many occasions that there was actually one time where my car actually lifted off the road, and I had no control until it went forward a little bit and got back down to get away. So, there was a lot of high water crossings on that chase, especially when you were still in the Panhandle. But as the storm moved further east, it did gain strength. It looked really good for a while. I think out there north of Haskell, it looked really good in terms of trying to produce. We did get a funnel. I don't know if you saw that, Dan, around because I think you were in that same intersection that I was in. But it did put out a little weak funnel. It looked like it was rotating pretty good. It almost touched down, but it never did.
Yeah, there were a lot of circulations on the RFD gust front, like going back into the mezzo. And I saw a bunch of them. There was one. The reason I lost my camera is because one of them started to lower and spin pretty fast, and I thought I was going to do it. So I set my camera down and ran to get my video camera. But it looked like it was going to do it there for a minute.
Yeah, and I mean, it looked really good there for a while.
Right along the RFD gust front.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it looked really good for a while. Got down to Throckmorton. Of course, they're producing Throckmorton because Throckmorton's just a hotbed for tornadoes, apparently. When in doubt, target Throckmorton. And, I mean, after that, after Throckmorton, it just started going to crap pretty quick. The hail core was really massive. The storm was extremely rain-wrapped, and, of course, it was just in horrible, horrible terrain. I basically ran that thing all the way to Breckenridge, where we let it kind of drift off, and then from there we took off. So, so Friday didn't pan out too well. I mean, obviously, he saw the moderate risk in Southwest Oklahoma. There was actually some really good parameters there if there wasn't any actual precip. So, but that wasn't the case. There was plenty of precip to ruin the day. You can see they kind of shifted that moderate around, and then by the end of the day, they're like, screw it, let's just enhance it. So, so that was kind of how that went. So Friday, whatever. Go to hell Friday. And that storm in Vernon produced too, right?
Yes, it did.
That's right. I remember that storm, and I think that's the one that Shane was on. We'll see. Let's see if he remembers that. But I remember seeing that storm, and I thought that because I remember my initial target the night before was somewhere down 287 towards Vernon, but I decided to go a little further south and get south of all the precip. So, hey, Shane, you said that on last Friday you chased that storm by Vernon, correct?
Yeah.
So, you were telling us about that, and that's the storm that it did produce, but, I mean, I don't know. That was my kind of original target, was 287. I didn't do it. I just wanted to get south, on the south end of that precip, and hope that, it would put out a good outflow boundary for a storm to latch onto later on, and, sure enough, it did,
well,
I guess.
That Vernon cell was just the main cell that survived out of that morning mush, and it came out. It's never good when you've got morning shit, and the SPC outlook starts out with a complicated scenario, ... ellipses, and then you end up with storms that are ongoing from like 10:30 on, and they're going to gradually get surface based and gradually get severe. That never works. But apparently there were people that saw tornadoes up in the notch that have 9 lives, or went north when we went east or whatever. But we bailed on that storm after about 2 hours. We got on it. We drove out to Vernon, and we're heading to Kroll, whatever that town is southwest of Vernon that starts with a C. It's on 70.
Right.
Yeah. We started out that way, and I got about 2 or 3 miles out of town and thought, you know what, let's just go back. And so we went back to, there's a town called Lockett or something that's near Vernon.
Burg Burnett?
No, there's a town near Vernon. It's like south and east of there, like Lockett, or starts with an L. We went through there, and they're reporting. We're outside on a tripod, looking right where they're reporting tornadoes and not seeing shit. That's our 2015. But anyway, we just got in front of it. Big old whale's mouth HP. You can either get destroyed by hail, or you can stay in front of it and miss tornadoes. There's not really many alternatives unless you can afford a vehicle that's got like a hail guard all the way around it, and whatever. But we chasing the PT Cruiser that's just stock. So I don't even want to know what that back hatch glass costs if I lose that. So we got to stay out of the hell. So, I mean, you know, I don't mind hail to a point, but I'm not going to drive into baseballs willingly for a maybe. And eventually we got tired of getting chased. We got chased down 287 all the way to Wichita Falls by that storm. I said, fuck it, you know, and then, like I said earlier, we decided to look at the new development further southeast, and we just made a beeline down 287 and got in front of the buoy storm. And our plan worked perfectly, except the fucker didn't produce a tornado until 5 minutes after we couldn't see. So, you know, whatever, you know. Like I say, we're making all the right moves. We're making great targets. We're doing good things out in the field. We're just not getting any fucking luck. So, you know, I probably missed 10 tornadoes by 5 to 10 minutes this year. So whatever. Eventually, even the dumbest, worst chaser in the world gets lucky. So I figure I'm due too. So.
Yep. I mean, I think we'll all get that point where we can get a good photogenic tornado. So, all right. So that was Friday. Whatever. Now Saturday was interesting. Okay. Saturday, I believe. I mean, obviously, it was just murdered by the early precip. But, you know, I was still holding on to hope that the precip would clear out, the panhandle would destabilize, and everything would be hunky-dory, close to home, and it'd be awesome. And sure enough, when I think it was probably about noon, I got to Shamrock, and I was sitting under clear sky. The precip had pushed off. We were under clear sky. We were baking nicely. I think the obs in Shamrock at the time were like 70 over 60, so we were kind of recovering from all that precip. It was getting warmer. The 60s were at least a high 40. I thought that was the best place to be for the time being. But then I was like, okay, well, with storm motions, I got to get north, so that's what I did. I got north. I got up to Perryton, and then from Perryton, I was like, I think Southwest Kansas is going to do it. So we went up to Liberal, and then from Liberal we went up to, I think, Ulysses. And then I just sat there in Ulysses and looked back on radar, saw Supercell east of Amarillo going on. Already pissed off from that. I was already annoyed. I was annoyed the whole day. I don't know about anyone else. I was very annoyed by all day Saturday just because of that early precip. And sure enough, the stuff down south of Wichita Falls, which I stayed the night in Wichita Falls that night. There it is right there that James has on satellite. That stuff pops up big, produces an amazing-looking tornado down by Cisco, Texas. Unfortunately, did kill one person. And, I mean, that storm looked great on radar. You can see there towards dark the stuff in southwest Kansas going up and northwest Oklahoma. And, of course, that little storm east of Amarillo, if you would have followed it all the way to Elk City, would have produced, which it seems like Elk City is going to be the... Okay, so let's, real quick, targets for this year need to include Elk City, Wichita Falls, and there's another town that's been getting north. What?
Throckmorton.
Throckmorton. Those are your 3 targets this year. That's all you got to know from now on.
Yeah, it's gonna be Northwest Texas. It's gonna be Northwest Texas again on Saturday, from everything I'm seeing.
You know what? You're probably not wrong, because that's actually very true.
I mean, check out a 500 millibar UVV forecast for 0Z on fucking on Saturday, or whatever the day is, Sunday. You're either going to be in Woodward or you're going to be in Wichita Falls. Those are your choices
Saturday.
right now, based on that forecast.
Because Sunday's way up in, like, the Midwest, so...
Yeah, it's like Wisconsin.
No, 0Z Sunday.
Oh, okay,
Saturday,
yeah.
7.
Okay, yeah. But, James, go ahead and run us through Saturday before we get into forecast. But let's run us through Saturday, see what happened here.
Yeah, so obviously this one was like a big hyped up day. It was, looking like it's going to be huge 30% on the day 4. Day 3 moderate risk, I think. Yeah, day 3 moderate out across western Oklahoma into southwest Kansas on the high plains. Continued all the way through until the day 1 comes out, and the possibility of morning convection is almost assured at this point. Inch the moderate up further northwest, and hands down here, kind of this little area right here where this cold pool is going to be lingering potentially from the morning convection. Moderate's gone, got a weird boomerang thing going on here, and then obviously gets split into 2 targets at this point, with the panhandle getting the worst part of that wake low effect behind that MCS. But somehow so managed to put out that little dinky storm that produced near Elk City. So we'll get more to that later. But So just looking at the morning, this is at 12Z, huge MCS ongoing across the Panhandle. More precip down here across Wichita Falls in the 287 corridor. Continues throughout the day. Still ongoing at 16Z. But at this point, it's kicked out an outflow boundary here from about Oklahoma City down to about Childress that starts rapidly pushing southeast. About 19Z, it's all the way to about Vernon. And then you start to see the hints of development down here along the dry line away from the outflow boundary that's actually stalled out at this point. Cisco Storm, I believe, is somewhere right in here. And there it goes right there. And there's the Cisco Storm. Colorado at this point, I think, only had one tornadic storm up here by the Front Range. But the first hints of connection we're getting going here on the high plains eastern Colorado. And then there you go. You had one storm up here near Vernon that would actually end up producing. And then obviously the Cisco storm down here that was almost completely isolated. Actually, from what I've seen, not a whole lot of people got on because it was so unexpected to be that far south. And then just continue on. I mean, there's the Kit Carson storm that produced those amazing tornadoes. And then obviously a lot of people made the mistake of picking this middle storm, and I was one of them. And, I mean, within an hour, it just evaporated. It's completely gone. But anywho, kind of delving in more, I mean, big trough located over the Four Corners region, stronger flow huffing into the region by 0Z from what I remember. Yeah, I mean, pretty decent winds there. Probably decent ventilation winds. It was just kind of here in Dallas and probably just points was a little weak, which made for that kind of storm mode. And just kind of taking a quick peek at the soundings. Let's see here. Pretty sure, yeah, there it is. Which had pretty decent profile, but there's that kind of weakness at 200 millibars, which is right at anvil level. Kind of a backing pattern as you go higher. Not too bad. Definitely messed with that photograph quite a bit. And I mean, huge cape still, but doesn't quite explain why that Graham storm just completely crapped itself out. And then if we kind of just jump ahead here a little bit to 0Z to DFW, I mean, pretty skinny. Decent.
You're breaking up real bad.
When
just letting you know.
I think we're losing them.
He's dead, Jim.
Your audio is following your video. Did anyone else?
That was like Stephen Hawking's having sex.
My cock, you are. My cock, you are.
Oh, James, I'm gonna mute you so you can try to fix that.
Am I?
No.
I got meteorological stuff here. I don't know if anybody noticed, but like on Saturday morning, I started tweeting out early that I was seeing soundings that from the 287 corridor from Wichita Falls down through Bowie and Fort Worth looked really good compared to everywhere else on the target that had once been moderate but got knocked down to enhanced. But I was kind of looking at that area early, and then I think they went 10% tornado at like 16:30, and then at 20Z they went 15% hashed, moderate. And I was surprised that they went that extreme, but I wasn't surprised that it was an upgrade because I was looking at and then I'm looking at this all day and I'm all over it, but I sit on my hands until 2:30 and then leave because 3 storms went up initially. There was a storm about an hour west of here. There was a storm just south of like Throckmorton, and then there was the Cisco storm. Well, which one survived? Of course, the one furthest the fuck away. But the problem was obviously we left too late. But the point was I didn't see anyone else that was high on North Texas early Saturday, and I'm sitting there going, man, I'm looking at soundings going, obviously It doesn't. Northwest Kansas and Colorado, that's just garbage. That's just, you know what? That's hipster douchebag IPA pot smoking luck. Is all that is. They get 80 tornadoes. Hey, guess what? I'm wearing my mom's fur coat because it's 47 degrees. The dew point's -3, and there's a wedge. That's what you get up there in that fucking shithole state every fucking time. Fuck you, hipster douchebag. That's bullshit. You cannot forecast that shit, can't you? If you little bastards didn't have your fucking radar shit where you can go in your little GPS, I need a road here. I need a road here. Here's the bleep. If you guys didn't have GPS and radar on the car, no one would see those fucking tornadoes.
Except the guys that live up there, Scott Hamill, and Carlson, those guys.
Only if it goes by there. I mean, literally, you got this pinwheel of fucking a string of pearls, and on radar, they look like fucking just any other garden variety storm. I mean, I don't go up there for that shit because if you don't have every possible technological tool to point you to which measle out of the measles is the tornadic storm, how do you ever see? I mean, there are people that I read accounts of people that drove around with their heads cut off all day. That would be me. That would be me. That's why I don't do that shit. I'll never see those photogenic, postcard-worthy tornadoes. And it's 57 degrees with a dew point of 39, and here's a wedge. I'll never see that shit because I won't forecast that, and I won't take a chance on that shit when I've got real instability down in Texas. And guess what? Maybe I didn't see all the postcard tornadoes in 50-degree dew point air, but guess what we had down here in Texas? Had an F3 wedge. I didn't see it, but it was there. Now, I will never pass up on an opportunity to see one badass instability-driven tornado, thermodynamically driven tornado, versus all those rainbow bright fucking photo enhanced, great little perfect little fucking tornadoes, whatever. Sour grapes, probably, but fuck you, I haven't seen a tornado. Suck me. Next year, when I've got 16 at this point, you've got 0, you'll be a dick too.
There you go.
Hashtag frozen wedge fest.
Yep.
I apologize for being on your show.
No, I won't apologize. I love it. I think everyone else loves it too. I'm watching the chat room just light up from me. So,
I will say this. You know, everybody in the room was chasing except for me, and I was armchair chasing on Saturday. But when you're in that position where you can see every storm, you get to hear so many interesting stories from chasers. There were a lot of chasers that had problems on Saturday. Chris Bray from Storm Track got caught in the mud. Skip Talbot blew out a tire on Doghouse, and Chad Vandever in Oklahoma got caught in RFD winds, which we're sitting there watching his stream. We thought he got killed because you hear, oh God, glass break, and then the stream cuts off, and his little icon sits there for an hour. So it's
Nice.
well, and that's, Skip may have blown a tire, but man, I watched his video today, and it's just.
I know, I
So
saw the video
bad.
too. I was like, you deserve a blown
Yeah,
tire.
let me go back to what Shane was saying.
Skip is the cat of storm chasing, and by that I mean you can like throw him in a yard full of dogs and let him get chased, and like kick him and punish him and like not give him a bath and shit, and throw him way up in the air, and guess what? He'll land on his fucking feet. Doesn't matter how shitty he's doing into a year. By the time the year's over, Skip is gonna have the best shit of anybody.
And this is what's interesting because you're right, Shane. That storm in Colorado, there's such a radar gap in eastern Colorado for the most part that you don't know that those storms are producing unless someone reports on it. And that was and you say thermodynamics, and that was in a way thermodynamically driven because the lapse rates were just insane out there. I mean, all it took was a little bit of cape, a shitload of shear, and some crazy lapse rates, and you had this tornado machine. But what's funny? What?
Technically, you're right. It was thermodynamically driven because of the lapse rates, but I have a rule. If you need a coat on the surface, it's not thermodynamically driven. I don't give a shit what the lapse rates are.
Yeah, I noticed everyone in Skip's video was all wearing like long sleeves and stuff because it was probably like 50, low 60 degrees and a lot of wind.
Well, I didn't bring a jacket on that trip. I would have been freezing.
Yeah.
A t-shirt.
But here's the thing about Saturday, okay? And I was part of this group, so don't think I'm talking shit on anybody because I was right in these people. All right? I played Southwest Kansas. So did everybody else. I mean, literally, if you looked at Spotter Network, and I'm sure, Drew, if you had Spotter Network, you saw it, there was just the biggest gaggle of Spartan Network icons in like Ulysses and Liberal and whatever shit ass towns out there. I mean, there was just a bunch of chasers out there, and they were all within reach of that tornado. That storm is, I mean, from Ulysses to Eads, I think it's only like an hour. And that may not sound much, or that may sound like quite a bit, but if you see that storm going and you know in your head, if you forecasted, hey, if the storm goes off over here, that thing's going to produce, then as soon as that thing popped off in like Lamar, I think it was, you would have hauled ass out there. And I have no excuse to do it either because I kept doubting my target, and that was that's probably why I was so annoyed with the day because I was so doubtful on where to go. I mean, I left Wichita Falls, and then I was looking at everything. I'm like, I probably shouldn't leave Wichita Falls, but I was, Southwest Kansas looks pretty good. Like, maybe the Panhandle can recover. So then from Wichita Falls, I drove to Kewanna, which is just southeast of Childress. And I sat there, I filled up with gas, and I'm like, man, I don't know. I kind of want to go back to Wichita. Well, Southwest Kansas. So I drove up to Shamrock where I had lunch, and I met up with some other chasers. And I'm still sitting there like, I don't know where I want. This is Saturday. I'm like, I don't know where I want to go.
You were in Kewanna on Saturday and went north?
I was in Wichita Falls that morning. That's where I slept. I slept in a hotel in Wichita Falls.
Oh, my God.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I was pissed off about the whole day. So I literally.
You didn't commit to either target. You didn't
No, I
commit to
didn't.
either target. You should have driven to like fucking La Junta, or you should have went to fucking like Abilene.
No, that's right. I played the middle, and that was where I mistake. Actually,
I was right there in Shamrock with them. Well, not with them, but we were in the same area. It was one of those things where I knew I was probably gonna bust because I was so indecisive. I knew there were only 2 targets, and I could make up. I was wanting to get right in between both of them, and I could make either one until the absolute last minute.
let me tell you what I had going through my head. Okay, I was driving towards Harryton, I believe, and the only thing that went through my head was, well, you know what? If I bust today, at least I'm close to home to bust instead of hours away. That's what went through my head, and that's what kept me somewhat in that shitty area. So
same thing with me.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I stayed home because I was afraid if I ran out to Abilene at 1 o'clock, I was going to miss a wedge in Weatherford that rolled right through my hometown between 7 and 8 o'clock. That's what scared me.
Exactly.
I don't know if you noticed on the tornado reports, you see that little report in Illinois for Saturday?
Oak City?
No, in Illinois.
Oh, in Illinois?
On
Saturday. I didn't even notice.
There's a tornado report on the SPC report. It's 30 miles from my house.
Oh, and see, you preach about this, Dan, about how these big days you don't like going to the plains.
All the time. And it turns out somebody got a picture of it. It was a fully condensed road with a nice little tree spray on the fields. So,
a lot of people got hosed. No, but see, if I would have just committed to the target, like Shane said, if I would have just said, okay, well, since this crap is going to ruin the entire setup except for down here or Colorado, what I should have done is just drove straight through Colorado instead of taking all these stops and kind of sitting around trying to figure out what to do. I should have just went, because I timed it from the time I left Wichita Falls at my hotel. I could have made it to probably, I think, Lamar right as the first report was going up.
Oh, dude. On May 6th, my target was burning, and we stopped in Wichita Falls for gas and a piss, and that fucking storm went up right by a lot, and then it ended up being the fucking, hey, everyone in Norman, just sit on your ass till 4 o'clock and drive down I-44 and get 12 tornadoes. We were 50 miles south of that storm when it was maturing, and I could have gone up. I was like, nah, we'll never make it. 4 hours later, driving around Throckmorton County watching garbage. Hey, that storm's still going 5 hours later, still making tornadoes. Now, if you go after that storm initially, then it dies when you get there, and then my target's lighting up with a wedge. That's my fucking year.
Well, and here's probably what I should have done and should have thought of, is just aim north, and then you can get south when you can. Or, it's a lot easier to come south on a storm, at least on these big amplified days where the storm motions were insane. Well, for the most part, even though all the tornadoes I think were just crawling out there in the middle of nowhere.
I went back to the well. Last Sunday, I went back to the well. It's like, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick a target. If it's out of our data range, we're going to drive as far down to the target as we can when we lose data, and we're going to wait for the radar to light up. And when it goes, we're driving toward it. That's what we did.
Well,
We were on that fucking storm that went down through Bosque County, that north central Texas, the one that killed Van eventually. We were on that fucker from like 4 o'clock on all fucking day. I mean, it works. I mean, I got a system. I got away from it early in the year. I'm back on it. Just like Saturday. I'm confident Saturday. I'm going to fuck my target. I'm going to drive there. I'm going to have lunch there. And then I'm going to see fucking tornadoes there. And then I'm going to come back on here and go, look at me, motherfuckers.
yeah, I mean, that's such a frustrating thing when you just can't pick your target, or you're just not confident. And that's probably the worst feeling I have is when I'm not confident. If just to rewind, April 24th, 2000, just this last month, whatever, there was the 2 targets out by Dallas, and then there was one up in Kansas. And I was right in the middle in Oklahoma City. I woke up in Oklahoma City, and I felt really confident about Kansas. So I had to let nothing stand in my way to not go to Kansas. I got there to Kansas. I was there, and I had the damn thing touched down 50 yards from me. I mean, that was the most confident forecast I've had. That was like somewhat of a drive. I mean, it was like 6-hour drive for me. I was really confident, and that's a good feeling when you have that confidence because I don't know, it just makes the day feel good, and then when it does happen, you feel really good because that confidence paid off. So
that's what's weird about me. It's like I start losing confidence when I start doubting myself, and that's a strange duality. It's like if I have a plan and stick to it, I'm like, yeah. If I start thinking about it and like second guessing myself, I lose confidence because I'm not believing in myself. That's just dumb. So basically, I pick a target and I go there now. So it's like Saturday. I've already got my town in mind for Saturday, and if things don't change, I'm going to drive there. And I'm confident at this moment that if it's not that town, I'll be able to reach it within the first tornado from the storm going up. So if I'm gonna, it's mid-May. I haven't seen shit, and it's on. So I'm aggressive.
Well, and that's what I was going to say about this coming setup Friday and Saturday. I'm tired of busting because. Well, hold on. Maybe.
Nebraska. If you're on I-80, you're good. Other than that, you're doomed.
Well, where do you think I'm targeting?
Yeah, if you go to Kearney, Nebraska on Friday, other than that, it's a substance bust. There's no lift.
No, of course.
West.
But that's my point. I was gonna say I'm tired of all this bullshit where I feel like I need to be close to home to bust. When if I just commit myself and I have the opportunity to do it, I'm gonna go to the main target. I'm not gonna just bullshit around. I mean, Dan and I were kind of discussing this earlier. Talking about right before the show, we're talking about Saturday. A big amplified day, and everywhere looks kind of messy except for South Dakota. And I'm thinking, well, I'm gonna be in Nebraska on Friday anyway. I can just stay the night in Nebraska and go up to South Dakota. I don't know. I really, honestly, I haven't looked at South Dakota for Saturdays. I haven't looked anywhere north of I-80 because there's still some potential down south, and it makes me want to stay closer to home. But then that's going against my, thing in my head, unless the main area is down here south. So.
I mean, you got to look at sheer that far north. I mean, the instability only goes so far north, and you're talking about South Dakota on Saturday. It's going to be a shear-driven event, and it looks very unidirectional to me.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I haven't looked, but Dan mentioned that, and I was like, hey, you know what? If it is up there, screw it, I'll be up there.
The GFS has the surface low. Well, where is it? Yeah, the NAM has the surface low up there on Saturday. The GFS has it down in Kansas.
Oh man, if it's down in Kansas, it's game on. I mean, that's just like that.
Yeah, no.
Saturday has big potential. I mean, it really does. So, James, so pretty much we just went over why the last 2 days sucked. It's mostly because the morning preset. We could all be pinned down, and there you go, black screen again from James. Anyone else see that?
I see his.
Oh, there we go. There we go. I see him now. Okay.
I see his toothy grin with a shirt, big red machine, and a scud cloud.
Oh, really?
Hey.
Calvin Cloud, as Drew said it earlier, because that was the funniest shit ever.
And his picture sharing isn't working either. I just see I see the Ghost Train logo with like a little circle going whoa, whoa. That's all I see.
Calvin Cloud. You know how long it took? I almost busted out laughing, Drew, in the middle of the show because I saw that, or I heard that, and it took about 5 minutes to register, and I'm like, oh my god. Calvin Cloud, aka. Oh wait, do you guys know? Shane, do you know what he meant?
Do I know what?
Do you know what Drew meant whenever he said Calvin Cloud on James's?
I'm assuming he meant Calvin what that troll guy.
Yep, that guy. That
There's
guy.
no way that guy's real. I don't give a shit what anyone says. It may not be Rob Hurks, but I think it is. But it's not that guy.
Marcus, Saturday, North Carolina. Let's go.
Yeah. Hey, do you know? Hey, did y'all know that he asked me in chat what I thought about North Carolina on like Thursday or some shit like that? I was like,
Tuesday, it
Calvin,
was yesterday he was asking about.
Calvin, I don't give a shit about North Carolina, man. I told him
People
to
in North
drive it.
Carolina don't give a shit about North Carolina.
I told him to
He's like
drive
the
into
embodiment. He's like the embodiment of Spotter Network on Star Trek. Just worthless, stupid shit. I'm sorry. Spotter Network is a fantastic idea. The reality of which has transformed over the last several years of like 3 or 4 quality people that are trying to nurse a project that is just being, carried by morons. Hey, guess what I got? I got a substantial, big ass, heavy, long-lasting rainbow, and I need to report this shit. Logan Burrs, are you fucking kidding me? God damn.
That's happened. That's
Tired of
happened
that
quite a
fuck.
bit.
It's a violent rainbow.
Violent rainbow.
I mean,
Violent
I burned my
flood.
retina staring at this rainbow. It's so violent.
I can no longer see the color blue thanks to this rainbow.
Exactly. My spectrum is now smaller, fucking rainbow.
Thanks to this rainbow, the color red gives me migraines. Okay, real quick before we end the show, James, let's run through the next couple days. Well, I should say Friday and Saturday about. Just kind of give us an outlier, kind of give us a general area for good targets.
Well, honestly,
But
kind
we'll
of.
SBC chase, bro, because I'm gonna swear to God, I'm just kidding.
What's your target, James? Don't fuck with me.
Well, Friday I'm gonna have to go ballsy. I'm gonna say, probably Wellington, Kansas. Just I like to live on the edge.
Wellington, Kansas on Friday?
Like
Bring a book. Bring 2 books.
Bring a tablet with
up towards the I-80 course gonna be your best bet. Big issue is, you got around 500 millibar, a little less than ideal. Ventilation winds aren't that great. That kind of bullshit. So, same thing with Saturday. I mean, it really just. Yeah, well.
Oh man. Okay, you're
It really just kind of.
Let me just say that for once, your connection's worse than Shane's.
Ouch.
That's bad because Shane's connection sucks a lot. Actually, Shane, you haven't really like stuttered and stopped like you usually do. It's actually been pretty well. So.
Oh, really? Because on my end, it's been worse than ever in the history of me being on the show. So.
And now it actually works fine on my end, and my end is usually what goes into the stream, so you're good there. Okay, so James is going to Wellington. Oh, I was going to say James is going to Wellington, Kansas to get a sunburn.
Yeah, pretty much.
Shane, you're not even probably going to jump on Friday, is what it sounds like.
No. Friday is basically I can't afford. I need the day of work for future chases, and I can't go to Kearney or Norfolk on Friday because if you're not on I-80 Nebraska, you're gonna bust. I mean, look at it; it's so simple. I mean, a beginning forecaster can figure this out. On the visual, the 500 millibar trough isn't going to be there in time. It's late anyway. Oh, do you need confirmation of that? Oh, maybe the model's lagging. Maybe it's going to speed up. Go look at the UVVs. There's nothing. It's substance. You know why? Because there's no trough there, so it's mistimed. So go to the warm front, and I-80, or stay the fuck home. Now, Saturday, whole different story.
Okay. Well, hold on. Before you jump on Saturday, we'll get everyone else's opinion. Dan, are you jumping out on Friday at all?
Yeah, I'm planning on it.
Are you kind of planning? Are you going to be playing up? I say you're going to be playing up there in I-80, I guess, or what?
Yeah, I mean Nebraska seems. I mean that just seems like the play.
I mean, it really does. I mean, it really does, and that kind of sucks to a point, but it does.
Yeah, I mean, there's. I'm looking at the NAM now. The NAM has 30 knots up there. Not great,
Well, here, I'll just do this. I'll run a screen share so everyone can kind of see what we're talking about. All right, so I'm just going to run through 18Z NAM. Here's what we got on the NAM. So this is your 0Z. I'm going to run through this pretty quick. Warm front along I-80. You're going to have plenty of juicy air, mid-60 dew points up on I-80. You kind of have this arcing dry line. Very similar. I noticed this. This is kind of similar to October 4th of 13, I think it was, the Wayne, Nebraska tornado. It had that really wicked arc dry line, kind of warm front combination, and just off that arc was where the magic happened. So,
well, it's going to happen up there because they're actually going to get glanced by the 500 millibar jet max. It's not even going to affect Kansas or Oklahoma. That's why it's going to be I-80 or nothing on Friday.
Right, and you have
it's like simple 101 forecasting, black and white, easy shit.
You have anywhere from 2,000 to pockets of 4,000 mixed layer cape up there, which is substantial. Let's talk about the 500s, as Shane was saying. You can see they're kind of getting this little glancing blow out there. Good 45, 50 knots maybe at most. Ventilation winds, I believe, were also glancing into the area here.
Have Dan on the show next week because Dan will show you pictures of the wedge he's going to see on Friday in Nebraska.
Hopefully I will too. Yeah, ventilation winds look okay. 40. Do what?
On my camera.
Oh yeah, he needs a camera first, Shane. He dropped his out in a flooded field.
Dude, he's got like 12 of them.
Okay, A50 winds, of course, 30 to 40 knots up there, southeasterly, back to level winds. You have everything's there for a really good day. And I'm not saying don't take my word for it because Kansas could still, something could happen mesoscale wise. Kansas could go, and if Kansas goes,
jet comes further east.
Yep, if it's a little more progressive, and I mean, you can see there the edge of that 500 jet is really pretty much right along the dry line at 0Z.
So
yeah,
if you're a Southern Plains guy and you're poor and you're desperate, then maybe head to Republic, Kansas. Maybe you'll get lucky.
Yeah, just somewhere out there, and you'll be all right.
Hoxie might be a good spot.
See, the thing is, the NAM isn't showing any precip down in Kansas, but if the cap as weak as it is, I wouldn't be surprised to see something go down there.
Yeah, I mean, here's the precip. Nothing in Kansas, and a string of pearls along the warm front. So
where did James go?
I don't know. Did he leave? I don't know. I'm screen sharing.
He's gone.
Oh man, I must have angered him. He's probably been texting me. I haven't looked at my phone here, but so yeah, okay. So there's Friday, easy money. If you have the opportunity to make it up there, just go. I mean, that's all I can say. Go to like Shane said, go to Kearney, sit there, jerk off until 4 o'clock, and then you can jerk off later that night to some tornadoes. All right.
And then on Saturday, you can either go to Woodward if you're in Norman because you're not going to leave the state, or you can actually make a forecast if you're someone who doesn't live in Norman and go to where the hot spot is.
Right. Here's the problem, though. This is the biggest problem I have seen with Saturday, and that is early precip. Hey, our old buddy, early precip. Man, I miss you so much. Not. So this is.
See last Saturday and Friday.
Exactly.
See last weekend. Early precip didn't matter Friday or Saturday. There were tornadoes to be had.
Precip's not going to be a deal breaker as long as there's going to be some place that's going to recover enough.
Of course. But I mean, the main area, which is where the trough ejects, is over Kansas and Nebraska. You're going to have this shield of precip. This is 6Z Saturday. This is midnight. Here, well, hold on. 12Z, big precip from Kansas down into Texas. And it looks like it kind of breaks down a little bit, and then right here at 21Z, you got development in northwest Kansas and central Nebraska, eastern Colorado again, and then 21Z, between 21Z and 0Z, the dry line kind of lights up down south, Oklahoma, southern Kansas. This is all just kind of, you don't take this really too seriously, the precip models of the NAM, especially the 12-kilometer NAM, but it does show quite a bit of precip lingering through the morning. Could possibly hamper, but now these guys are disagreeing.
Good enhance.
I know why you guys are disagreeing.
The furthest south and west area of the target is going to recover first. So
Exactly, and not only that,
why
but
not
that's
spend
where
Saturday afternoon in Vernon, Texas, and get a wedge and go home and be happy? That's what I'm
that's
going to
true.
do.
But see, and this is what I was going to get into is I know exactly why you think that that's not going to be an issue, and that's because you have this really, really crazy, or I shouldn't say just crazy, but you have this really impressive jet coming in. This is going to help clear everything out in a way. I mean, yes, it is a lot of forcing along the dry line, but it'll also help recover the lapse rates if you get enough sunshine in there. The ventilation winds, you're going to regret it if you're up north. You can see pretty much most of Kansas and Oklahoma has that good southwesterly ventilation. You get those northerly, or southerly, I should say, ventilation winds up north. So you're going to be kind of screwed there. Here's the best part about this whole day, I think. The 850s look really solid all along the dry line. Um, very, very good low-level jet. This is going to really help with our tornado chances, especially with anything that's a right mover. If that's
Those 250s, that's the key.
the what? Hey,
Anvil level 250.
yeah,
Is that the 12Z run, or is the
this is
0Z
a
out?
the 0Z is coming out. This is the 18Z since it's already
James
out.
is back.
Yeah,
Hey,
sorry about
James,
that. I literally
Hey,
I dropped
thanks
like
for having
30
me on. I
megabytes.
gotta pee, man. I gotta go.
Okay, Shane. We'll see you later, buddy.
Yeah.
So yeah, Saturday looks pretty solid too. I personally think that the southern target will recover. What? Did he just hate me? Hold on. I don't know what's going on here.
He's gone.
Oh, okay. Well, he'll be back. Okay. So yeah, just I don't know. Saturday looks like it can recover from the early preset. The Cape values are obviously going to be low simply because it's picking up a lot of precip signals throughout the whole warm sector during the early part of the day. I wouldn't take that at face value. This is definitely going to be a day where you want to get in a general area of targeting, which for me I think is Oklahoma, Kansas. Um, and then from there, you'll just kind of want to watch mesoanalysis, watch satellite, make sure you get some clearing, and then just kind of go from there. But I mean, the whole day, the whole warm sector is, in terms of shear, the shear looks amazing. Pretty much from central Nebraska all the way down into northwest Texas. I don't think anyone else can disagree on Saturday, but you're going to have to play it smart because that is a lot of distance between the two targets. And if it's anything like last weekend's setup, then the fringes of the setup are what produce the main part. Does anyone have anything else to add to that, James, perhaps?
For Saturday, basically, just like you said, all the way up and down that dry line has the possibility of going, and it's just picking. Once you commit, like you can't half-ass where you're going to be targeting. You got to commit to where you pick.
Exactly. That's kind of what I was thinking. My preliminary target for Saturday was Woodward. I think Western Oklahoma is probably going to do it. I think. I mean, that's just my opinion. Don't take it for anything else. Dan, what are you thinking about Saturday, man?
Saturday, man, I haven't. I'm waffling. I'm waffling between the northern and the southern target.
Just like you did last Saturday.
Yeah. I want to be where the surface low is. I mean, that's.
Oh man, but that's way up there. And, I mean, you're really displaced from a lot of features.
Yeah, I mean, if the surface low is up in South Dakota, I think that's obviously a problem. But if it's down in Kansas, that's where I want to be.
Here's the only consolation I have to that argument, and that is a secondary surface low developing in eastern Colorado and northwest Kansas during the evening. That would definitely put northern Kansas and southern Nebraska into a really good area for play. So that's kind of, pick and choose what you want to do there.
Yeah, I think there are going to be tornadoes at the surface low no matter where it is. I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue that. I mean, that's kind of a rule of thumb, and that's kind of what I always told myself. If I'm in doubt, then just play the surface low. So,
I'm a chicken.
okay, Drew, are you chasing at all, or are you gonna have to stay home?
I was supposed to. We had actually narrowed our target down to southern Nebraska, and then I get a text message at sometime yesterday saying everybody else backed out. We're screwed.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
I'd go kick
That
those
sucks,
people in
man.
the balls.
I thought about it, but I don't feel like driving all the way to Ohio just to kick somebody in the balls.
I would.
Just send him a virus then.
Send them some really gross porn or something.
I'll send them some
There's
of
your
those.
problem.
I'll send them some of those sugar-free gummy bears off of Amazon.com.
Oh, they make gummy dicks now. They make little gummy dicks.
Really? Do they make gummy vaginas?
I'm
I'm sure
assuming so,
I'm sure if
Shane.
you don't wash, that's probably what happens.
See what happens?
You want me to blow your mind? Listen to this. Ready?
Oh,
Now,
really?
you don't end the show on this, but this is serious. Here's how society would come to a dead halt, then we would all go back to the caveman days. If men's semen tasted like milk chocolate and women's vagina lips tasted like bacon, the world would end. Because nothing would get done.
I think there'd be world peace, actually.
I'm just saying. Think about that, though. Holy shit, the incentive. Beyond the incentive, right?
See, but then Marcus, there would be arguing flavor that it was, and whether it was this specific flavor, it would just be a whole mess.
If that happened, I would actually be open to the idea of divine intervention, because that sounds like an actual plan to me.
And on that bombshell, we shall end the show.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I just figured that's a good high point to end the show. Okay, so hopefully everyone enjoys the show. Hopefully everyone scores tornadoes on Friday and Saturday. Hopefully the day turns out good, because I'm tired of these really nice amplified setups that turn to bullcrap, really early on because of precip. So
One more thing.
hey, one more thing from old
Now,
Shane.
my answer is 0, but I'm just curious. What is everyone on the panels tonight? What is your tornado count for the year before we leave?
I have 9 at the moment.
Fuck you. How about you, Dan?
Zilch.
1.
Zilch.
Well,
No,
just
Dan saw tornadoes in Throckmorton the other day, didn't he?
Yeah, no, Dan has 1, James has 0.
Okay, sorry. How about you, Drew?
None.
Okay, James and Drew, you're cool. Dan, and fuck you, Marcus, because you got 9.
I will say this. 7 out of my 9 are rain wrap bullcrap tornado. I mean, not bullcrap, but rain wrap tornadoes, low visibility, can barely see them. And
Well,
it wasn't until Tuesday, May 5th, a half-ass needle in the haystack day down by Rawls, Texas, that I scored 2 photogenic tornadoes, and those are my photogenic for the year. And actually, I haven't had a photogenic tornado in a couple of years, so
well,
I was really happy
congratulations.
about that.
But see, Shane, if I head north out of El Paso, Illinois, instead of going west out of there, you're saying fuck you to me too, because I would have gotten Rochelle if I'd gone north out of El Paso.
But you didn't. That's the
I
problem.
know, it's my biggest mistake of the year.
Yeah, man, I tell you what, I got a lot of man. If I'd only this year, man. So, but whatever, you know what? We'll fix it this weekend.
Everybody's problems will be fixed this weekend. We're all going to score. Everyone's going to have a good time.
If
Everyone's going to
not,
come
it'll be
back
an even
with,
angrier episode next time.
and we'll make sure to have you on if you go goose egg this weekend, Shane.
So, how about if I get one you have me on so I can be happy? No one's ever seen the happy me.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, that's very true. We'll have you on next week regardless then. So
So
all
I'll
right,
never
guys.
be on the show again because I won't see shit. So
No, you'll be on because if you don't see shit, I want you back on. All right, real quick, everyone, whore yourselves out. Shane, where can everybody find you?
go to that website, passwest.com, put a /videos.htm and buy a DVD, damn it, because you know what? I deserve it. And so do you.
Drew, how about you?
You can find me. I've got my Twitter down there. You can find me on Facebook. Same thing, Drue Bernardi. You'll see a lot of whoring out of my my NASCAR podcast, which we're doing a big debate episode this week. So you can check
That's
that out
awesome.
if you want to.
All right, Dan, how about you? Where can everyone find you?
stormhighway.com, or you can go to Stormtrack and go to the Who's Who page.
All right, James, if you can make a full sentence.
You can find me at thunderingskies@blogspot.com. You can find me on Facebook, but if you find me on Facebook, please don't add me if I've never talked to you before. I've had like 6 or 7 people add me in the last 2 days, so I have no idea who you are, so please stop it. I'm not going to add you.
I'd like to announce that James has an alternative domain coming out called myshitsnotworking.com.
Yeah, and the homepage will be that 404 not found. So
For James not found.
that's what your website should be. 404 James not found.
Guys, seriously, thanks for having me on. I had a great time as always. You guys are awesome.
Hey, hopefully we made your night because I know you're a little bummed out earlier.
No, this is fun. I love this. I appreciate it.
All right. As for me, the txwxchaser.com, that's where all my pictures are, chasing accounts. You can also add me at the txwxchaser on Twitter. Hit me up. Talk about us on the show. Go to Ghost Train. The Ghost Train is at the TDT_show on Twitter. Just make sure you go there. Tell us how much you hate me or us or Shane or whoever, and we'll make sure to forward that information. You can also follow me on Storm Trek as well. I'm there all the time. I'm apparently the most liked guy on Storm Trek now, which is kind of cool, but whatever. Doesn't matter to me. So everybody have a good night. Have a good week. Everybody good luck this weekend, and hopefully we all come back with Wedgefest 2015 coming to full force. So good night. We'll see you later.